My name is Rachel. And this was never supposed to be my life. I used to have a peaceful routine, a home I loved, a quiet office space where I could work uninterrupted, and enough savings to take the occasional weekend trip up to the coast. I was the kind of person who paid my bills early, bought the good coffee beans, and didn't mind spending Saturdays reorganizing my bookshelves just for the calm it gave me. Things changed 3 months ago, when my younger sister Kylie showed up at my door with 2 duffel bags, a tear-streaked face, and her daughters clinging to her legs. Her marriage had just collapsed. She said Vincent had left her for someone younger, richer, colder. She was lost, devastated, and just needed a place to land for a little while. I didn't hesitate. Of course I didn't. She's my sister. I gave her my spare room and turned my home office into a makeshift bedroom for her girls, Emma and Poppy. I told myself it was temporary. A few weeks at most. Kylie cried and said she'd find work right away, that she just needed some time to get her head straight. She hugged me hard and whispered thank you, over and over, like she meant it. I believed her. I wanted to believe her. The first week was messy but manageable. The girls were sweet, polite, and even helpful. Kylie stayed in her room a lot, said she was applying for jobs online. I cooked. I cleaned. I picked up extra snacks for the kids. I told myself it was just what family does. We show up for each other. Right, that's what I kept repeating as I adjusted to the new normal. But the normal kept stretching. I started working from the kitchen table because Emma's school stuff now lived where my printer used to be. Kylie never offered gas money. Even though I was the one dropping off and picking up the girls from school, I brushed it off. It's just temporary. I told myself again. She'll get it together soon. I kept waiting. It's strange how quietly your own life can disappear. One day you're reading on your couch in perfect silence, and the next you're stepping over someone else's laundry just to find your shoes. That's how it felt living with Kylie. The shift didn't happen all at once. It crept in, one small inconvenience at a time. She started with late-night phone calls. Her voice would carry through the hallway while I tried to sleep. Laughter bubbling up as she chatted with friends. I didn't know. At first I chalked it up to stress relief. She's going through a lot, I reminded myself. But the calls didn't stop. In fact, they got longer, louder, more frequent, and always at the worst times: midnight on weekdays. Right before an early work meeting, when I needed rest the most, the girls adjusted quickly to my space. And I didn't mind that. Emma is 12 and already smart beyond her years. Poppy's only 5. All giggles and spaghetti-stained shirts. I liked having them around. But the responsibility of their presence started to settle on my shoulders in ways I hadn't anticipated. I found myself doing more of the school drop-offs. I paid for their lunches, their field trips, their new backpacks. When the old ones mysteriously vanished, Kylie barely noticed. She was either on a job search or too emotionally drained to participate in much of anything. I asked her once gently if she could help with groceries that week. She gave me this wide-eyed look and said her bank account was overdrawn. Then, the next day, a package from Nordstrom showed up on the porch. I didn't say anything. I wanted to believe the best. I wanted to think maybe it was something she had ordered long ago and forgotten to cancel. Maybe she had a gift card. Maybe she needed retail therapy. There's always a way to justify bad behavior when you're trying not to rock the boat. By the 3rd week, my evenings were no longer mine. Kylie took over the living room. She'd sprawl across the couch, watching reality television at full volume, scrolling endlessly on her phone. She laughed louder than the show's laugh track, never once offering to turn it down. If I asked, she'd sigh dramatically and say, "Oh, sorry." She didn't realize I was trying to work. But I always was. I always am. The worst part was what it did to my head. I began to feel like a guest in my own home. Like I needed permission to set boundaries. Like asking for quiet or privacy made me the villain. And yet I kept telling myself this was love. This was family. You don't evict your sister when she's struggling, do you? I started cutting back on little things. No more weekend brunches with friends. No more Amazon splurges or new books. I canceled Netflix. Switched to off-brand coffee. Stopped ordering takeout. I told myself it was temporary. Just until Kylie found her footing. One night, while making tea, I heard her giggling from the other room. Not just giggling, gloating. I froze when I heard her say, and I swear I'm not exaggerating, "She hasn't asked me for a dime. I've got more spending money now than when I was married." The words hit me like a slap. My stomach twisted. My mug trembled in my hands. I walked away before I could hear anything else. My feet carried me to my room, where I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall like it might give me back the last 3 weeks of my peace. I kept hearing her voice in my head, the lightness in her tone, the smug satisfaction. And then there was a knock at the door. It was Emma, holding her tablet, hair in a messy bun and pajamas slightly too big. She whispered that she couldn't sleep. Mom was being loud again. I patted the bed next to me and told her to come sit. She curled up, showing me the manga she'd been reading, explaining the characters with that eager excitement only kids can summon. For a moment, I forgot the bitterness. I forgot everything except the fact that this child trusted me enough to come in the middle of the night and ask for comfort. And I realized something right then. I wasn't just helping my sister. I was holding up an entire family while my own life slowly disappeared. And no one, not even Kylie, was trying to stop that from happening. The sound of her laughter still makes my stomach clench. It used to mean something light, something familiar. But now it feels like a reminder that I'm being played in my own home. That night, I stood outside her door with a mug of cold tea in my hand and a weight in my chest that wouldn't lift. She was on the phone. The door half open like always. Like she wanted to be heard, but didn't want to own what she was saying. Her voice was bright, full of that careless energy she wore when she felt like she was getting away with something. "No, seriously. Tyler, you don't understand how sweet this setup is. Rachel's such a pushover. She hasn't asked for a dime. I've got more spending money now than I did when I was married." It was the tone that did it. Not just the words, the way she said it. Laughing like it was a joke she'd been telling for years, and I was the punchline every single time. I walked past her door like I didn't hear anything. My face felt stiff, like it didn't belong to me anymore. I sat on my bed with that tea still in hand, cooling by the second, my fingers trembling as I tried to breathe through what I had just heard. You tell yourself things are fine, because you have to. Because otherwise, everything you gave starts to look like a mistake. Then came the knock. It was soft, hesitant. Aunt Rachel, Emma. Her voice was so small. It barely reached me. I told her to come in. She slid through the door, clutching her tablet to her chest like a shield. Her hair was messy, her eyes tired. She was wearing the blue pajamas I'd bought for her just a few weeks ago. "I can't sleep," she whispered. "Mom's being really loud again." I nodded, patting the spot beside me. "Want to show me what you're reading?" She crawled up beside me and opened her tablet. It was a manga series she'd been into lately about a girl who wanted to be strong but kept having to rescue everyone else. She talked fast, excited, pointing at pages, explaining the plot and the character arcs like they mattered deeply. And to her, they did. And for those few minutes, it did to me, too. That was what made it all worth it. That was the only thing keeping me grounded in this chaos. Emma and her little sister deserved more than the noise, the chaos, the selfishness. They deserved calm. They deserved someone who showed up for them, even if that person wasn't their mother. But the moment ended too fast. The next morning, I dragged myself to work, eyes burning from a restless night. I tried to focus, tried to bury myself in quarterly reports. But the numbers swam on the screen. I could still hear Kylie's voice in my head, the words bouncing around like a taunt. My coworker Tessa popped by my desk with coffee. "You look wrecked," she said, setting it down. "How's the freeloading going?" I gave a tight smile. "Fine. It's fine." She raised an eyebrow. "You know the last time you said that twice was when your ex proposed with a ring pop?" I rubbed my temples. "It's just, yesterday another package showed up. Nordstrom. And she told me last week she couldn't pitch in for groceries?" Tessa scoffed. Classic Kylie. "And you're still paying for everything. The girls need stability." I said automatically. "The girls need their mother to grow up." Tessa said flatly. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because she wasn't wrong. The breaking point didn't come all at once. It showed up in pieces. A shopping bag on the counter. A nail appointment she forgot to hide. A receipt left sticking out of her purse, like it wasn't meant to be found. I wasn't even looking for it. I was just tidying up before bed when I spotted the corner of it poking out from her handbag. Crumpled like trash. A quick glance, and my stomach dropped staples. 278. Paid in full with a Capital One card. One she'd told me was maxed out and closed. I stood there in the hallway, staring at that sliver of paper like it had just called me a fool to my face. She'd cried to me about not affording school supplies. Asked if I could cover them this year. Promised to pay me back soon. I had said of course. Because what else do you say when the kids need notebooks and pencils and the person who's supposed to provide them won't? I started watching her closer after that. Not accusing. Not paranoid. Just aware. There was the grocery list she handed me, filled with specialty oat milk and organic snacks. The next day, she came back from a manicure. She said it was a gift card. Always a gift card. Or something she bought months ago. Or a friend treated her. Then the spa photos popped up. I didn't see them first. Tessa did. She slid her phone across the lunch table like it was evidence in a trial. Look what she posted this morning. It was Kylie and her boyfriend Tyler. Grinning at a high-end salon. They held champagne flutes. Wearing matching robes. A caption beneath it. Pre-vacation pampering with my girl. Crystal Bay Resort. Here we come. Blessed. My hands went cold. She said she had an interview this morning. I said slowly. Tessa just looked at me. That night, I opened my laptop and started a folder. Screenshots. Receipts. Emails. Anything that smelled like a lie. And every time I added something, I felt a little bit stronger. She thought I wasn't paying attention. She thought I'd just keep swallowing it. Keep nodding along. But I wasn't the same sister who used to cover for her in high school. I wasn't the same woman who made excuses for people who stepped on my boundaries. I was done pretending not to see. Bạn có muốn tôi tiếp tục với prompt 4? 2 và prompt 5 không? Dưới đây là phần nội dung chi tiết tiếp theo cho prompt 4. 2 và prompt 5. Nối tiếp liền mạch với các phần trước. Giữ nguyên phong cách kể chuyện. Tông giọng, cảm xúc và các yêu cầu định dạng bạn đã chỉ định. The next nail in the coffin came, as so many do these days, through social media. I wasn't even looking. Tessa sent it to me. No words. Just a link to Kylie's latest Instagram story. I tapped on it, thinking maybe it was a cute photo of the girls. It wasn't. Kylie was laughing into the camera. Tyler's arm draped around her shoulder. They were in a waiting area. Glossy brochures scattered on a low table. She whispered to him, but the mic picked it up loud and clear. Just wait till Rachel finds out I booked it anyway. She's such a freaking pushover. This vacation is going to be epic. The resort logo on the brochure caught my eye. Crystal Bay. Crystal Bay Resort. The same place I had suggested for a family vacation last summer. The same one she'd refused to even consider. Saying it was where Vincent had taken her on their honeymoon, and the memories were too painful. I opened my browser and typed it in. Crystal Bay Resort. Ocean view suites starting at $800 a night. Spa packages. Yoga on the beach. Couple massage options. It was luxury. No doubt about it. The kind of place you plan for. Save for. Dream about. And she had booked it. With what? Not her paycheck. She didn't have one. Not help from her ex, who I later found out was already paying her alimony. No. She'd used my generosity. My groceries. My utilities. My quiet compliance. I sat staring at the screen. Her smiling face frozen mid-laugh. Champagne glass in hand. Gucci sunglasses on her head. Bragging about how she'd gotten away with it all. I closed my laptop and walked to the kitchen. I didn't slam anything. I didn't cry. I just opened a new folder on my desktop and named it Receipts. The hardest part wasn't the money. It was the erosion of trust. The way she used love like a shield to deflect accountability. The way she smiled sweetly while digging under my skin. Deeper and deeper. Until I barely recognized myself in the mirror anymore. But it wasn't just me who noticed. Emma did. Too. She started asking questions at breakfast. Casual things. Like whether I ever got paid back for the Target run. Or if her mom really applied to all those jobs downtown. I didn't lie. I didn't throw Kylie under the bus. But I didn't protect her either. I told the truth. Gently. I said I hadn't seen the receipts Kylie promised. That I didn't know for sure if she'd applied anywhere. That grown-ups sometimes say what they wish was true. Emma just nodded. Eyes too old for her age. That day, I made a call to a friend of mine who works in HR at one of the top marketing firms in the city. Just casually asked if any resumes had come in from Kylie Martin. There hadn't been a single one in months. I felt sick. That night, over dinner, Kylie sighed dramatically and pushed her plate around. I hate asking. But could you help cover school supplies for the girls? Things are just really tight right now. I looked at the plate. Then at the watch on her wrist. A brand I recognized. One I couldn't afford for myself. I kept my tone even. Sure. I saw a sale at Target. Thought I'd swing by after work. She wrinkled her nose. Their stuff is terrible. The girls deserve better. I nodded. Like I agreed. Like I was still playing along. Later, when she was laughing on the phone in the living room, I quietly opened her purse. The receipt was right there. Like always. Staples. 278. Paid in full with a card I didn't know she had. I took a photo. Added it to the folder. Tessa and I met for lunch the next day. I showed her the screenshots. The receipts. The alimony documents I had tracked down online. She scrolled through, shaking her head. You need to stop being a doormat. I'm not a doormat. I told her. I'm gathering evidence. Evidence for what? The pushover Olympics. She slid her phone across the table. Look what Tyler just posted. It was a boomerang. Kylie and Tyler clinking champagne glasses at a salon. The caption, provocation pampering. Luxury reset loading. Girl power. I didn't speak. I didn't need to. My stomach did all the talking, churning. Tightening. Burning. That night, Emma knocked again. She had something behind her back. I made you something, she said, and handed me a handmade card. It was decorated with glitter. Stars. And 3 stick figures me. Emma. And Poppy. Thank you for taking care of us. She had written inside in careful print. You're the best aunt ever. I blinked hard. Trying not to cry. Mom says we're lucky to have you. She added. But sometimes I hear her laughing about how she doesn't have to pay for anything anymore. I swallowed. Thank you. Sweetheart. I didn't need more proof. I already had enough. But what I needed, what the girls needed, was for someone to stop pretending this was okay. That night, I sat at my desk and opened the folder. I looked through every receipt, every text, every screenshot. I didn't feel angry anymore. I felt ready. It was a Thursday morning when she handed me coffee with an extra splash of oat milk. I raised an eyebrow but didn't ask. She was practically glowing. Humming, as she flipped open a glossy brochure and waved it in front of me like a prize. Look at this place. she said. Ocean view balcony. Spa treatments. And they do this morning yoga class on the beach. I mean, can you imagine I could? Because I'd imagined it last summer when I suggested we all go. She'd cried back then. Said it was too painful. That it was where Vincent had taken her on their honeymoon. She couldn't possibly go back there. Not even for the girls. But now, apparently, she was reclaiming the memory. Making it her own. Solo. Or rather, not solo. With Tyler. With the money she'd saved. My money. I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. Speaking of gifts, I said, handing it to her. I got you something early. She beamed, already tearing the flap open. Her fingers moving faster than her brain. She expected a card? Maybe a voucher. Something soft. Something sisterly. Her face changed as she pulled out the eviction notice. What is this? It's notice to vacate. I said calmly. 30 days. I'm asking you to move out. She blinked. Laughed. You're kidding. Right? I shook my head. No. Not at all. You can't be serious. After everything I've been through. After everything I've been through. I said quietly. Her voice rose. The girls need stability. The girls need a mother who doesn't treat their aunt like a credit card with a pulse. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. Tears welled up in her eyes, her go-to defense. This is so cruel. She whispered. No. What was cruel was watching me stretch my savings while you planned luxury spa weekends. What's cruel is teaching your daughters that family means freeloading. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I've got the receipts to prove it. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You went through my things, didn't have to. Vincent told me everything. The alimony. The court lies. The fake expenses. I smiled faintly. Tyler's Instagram did the rest. I thought we were sisters. She said. Voice trembling. We were. And now? We're something else entirely. The shouting must have carried through the walls. Because when I turned, Emma and Poppy were standing in the hallway. Poppy clutched her stuffed rabbit. Wide-eyed. Emma's jaw was set. Her gaze fixed on her mother. What's happening? Emma asked. Kylie sniffled. Your aunt is kicking us out. Sweetie. After everything. Emma didn't blink. She turned to me. Is that true? I took a breath. I'm asking your mom to find a new place. You and Poppy are always welcome here. Kylie gasped. Don't put this on me. But Emma stepped forward. Mom. Stop. Kylie froze. What I heard you? On the phone with Tyler. About how you didn't have to pay anything. About the vacation. About using Aunt Rachel. That's not what you think, it is. Emma said. You told me you were applying for jobs. But you never did. You told me you couldn't afford school stuff. But you bought new sunglasses and a purse. I found the receipts. Kylie's face went pale. You promised. Emma said quietly. You promised we'd get better? Kylie reached for her. Emma pulled back. We can't stay here. Kylie said. Her voice shaking. No. Emma said. You can't. She turned to me. Eyes full of hurt but also strength. Can Poppy and I still come by any time? I said. This is your home. 2. Kylie looked at me. Something cracking in her expression. She wasn't used to being the one losing control. You turned her against me. I didn't say a word. I replied. She just saw the truth. Emma walked away, taking Poppy's hand. And Kylie, my sister, stood there in the wreckage of her own lies. Stunned that it finally cost her something that mattered. She had 30 days. I wasn't waiting that long to take my life back. Fallout doesn't always happen in explosions. Sometimes it spreads slowly. Like smoke curling through a house you thought was safe. That's what it felt like after the eviction notice. Kylie didn't leave right away. She sulked. She cried. She stomped through the house like a ghost who still believed she owned it. But something shifted. The air was different. The power had changed hands. And she felt it. The first domino fell online. She posted a tearful Facebook story, tagged half the family, added crying emojis like they were punctuation. Her cruel sister had thrown her and her children into the street. She wrote, no mention of spa packages, of $1,000 sunglasses, or unpaid bills. At first, a few people commented in sympathy. But then I posted the truth. No emotion. No extra words. Just screenshots. The resort booking. The credit card charges. Her text to Tyler. A statement from Vincent's lawyer confirming her alimony payments had been consistent, generous, and recent. I even included a short clip from my hallway camera, Kylie's voice. Clear and smug. Telling Tyler how easy it was to milk me for months. It spread fast. By that afternoon, her Facebook comments shifted from comfort to confusion. Then silence. Then anger. Even our mother called. I saw your post. Rachel, I hope you're proud of yourself. I asked her if she'd called when Kylie moved in. When I gave up my home office. When I emptied my pantry. When I missed rent on my own mortgage to cover back-to-school shopping for kids that weren't mine. Don't be dramatic. She said. Kylie's going through a divorce. Kylie's going through my bank account. I replied. And I hung up. That night was quiet. No phone calls. No reality, television echoing down the hallway. Just the sound of my own breath. Steady and slow. Filling a house that finally felt like mine again. The next morning, I opened my credit card app and stared at the numbers. A $495 charge at Sephora. From 2 days earlier. I hadn't been to Sephora in months. She'd used my card again. Tess summet me for coffee. She was holding her phone like a smoking gun. She posted another story. This, I said. Kylie. Look at this. It was a mirror selfie Kylie in oversized Gucci sunglasses. Sipping from a wine glass. Caption. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. Self-care queen. #blessed. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. Later that day, I got a text from Vincent. Is it true what Tyler's saying? That Kylie's living with you because she's broke? Because I've been paying full alimony? Extra. Actually, my heart skipped. Another text followed. She told the court she needed more for housing. Said she was staying with you for stability. That's the reason they approved the increase. That was it. The final piece. I wasn't just being used emotionally or financially. I was being used legally. Tessa texted 5 minutes later. I made some calls. That resort booking non-refundable. $4,000. Gone. I didn't respond. I just stared at my screen. Through the wall, I heard Kylie's voice again. Just wait till Rachel finds out I'm extending my stay through summer. She's too nice to kick us out. My hands didn't even shake as I opened my laptop. I started typing. To whom it may concern. The next morning, she caught me before work. Can we grab lunch? Just us sisters, I smiled. Sure. She picked the cafe. Ordered wine. A kale salad that cost more than my grocery bill. Told me how grateful she was. How much she'd grown. How she was finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I let her talk. Then I looked her in the eye. That's funny. I said. I thought I heard you tell Tyler how lucky you were not having to pay rent. She froze. Just for a second. Then the laugh came too loud. Too high. Oh. You heard that I was just joking. You know how we joke? Like the joke about the vacation, her smile faltered. What vacation? I tilted my head. Crystal Bay. She reached for her purse. Already pulling out her phone. I meant to tell you, no need. I said. I already know. She stared at me like I had turned into someone else. Maybe I had. Or maybe she was just finally seeing who I really was when I stopped letting her rewrite the story. That night, The house was quiet again. She didn't talk. She didn't ask what I meant at lunch. But she knew. And I slept, really slept for the first time in weeks. Moving day came without drama. No suitcases flung downstairs. No screaming or sobbing or last-minute bargaining. Just boxes. Just silence. Kylie didn't say much that morning. She avoided eye contact. Kept her head down as she packed the last few things into the trunk of her leased Honda Civic. I noticed she wasn't wearing the Gucci sunglasses anymore. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun. No fresh manicure. Just shadows under her eyes and tension in her jaw. Emma and Poppy waited by the door. Backpacks slung over their shoulders. Poppy clutched a drawing in her hand. Folded once down the middle. When she handed it to me, I nearly broke. It was a picture of 3 stick figures, me, Emma, and Poppy standing in front of my house. No Kylie. Just the 3 of us. Smiling. In crayon. She'd written, "I love you, Aunt Rachel." "Thank you." Kylie saw it and flinched. She turned to me with one last attempt at control. "I never thought it would end like this." "It doesn't have to be an end," I said calmly. She laughed. But it was empty. "You're not seriously going to forgive me, are you?" Forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. Or pretending nothing happened. I crossed my arms. And it's definitely not the same as letting it happen again. Poppy called from the car. "Mom, can we get ice cream on the way?" "Not today," Kylie said quietly. "We need to save money for." She trailed off. I knelt down beside Poppy. "I could take them for ice cream if you want. Give you time to unpack." Kylie blinked. "Why are you being nice to me? After everything I did? Because you're still my sister. And they're still my nieces." I looked her in the eye. "But this time, there are boundaries." She nodded. Not with anger. Not with resentment. Just understanding. Real. Quiet understanding. It was more than I expected. That night, my house was too quiet. No cartoons blaring from the living room. No midnight footsteps. No whispers through the wall. Just the sound of the fridge humming and the wind brushing against the windows. I made myself a cup of tea and curled into the couch, unsure what to do with the silence. For weeks, I had longed for this exact feeling. Now that it was here, I didn't know how to sit in it. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma. Mom actually cooked dinner. She wrote, "It was terrible. But she tried." I laughed softly, setting my mug down. Another message popped in right after. She also applied for a full-time job at the mall. Assistant manager training. They said she might start next week. I stared at the screen, rereading the words. My chest tightened, not with pain, but with something gentler. Maybe hope. A third message followed. "Thank you for being the grown-up Mom couldn't be." "I mean that." He blinked hard, trying not to cry. I looked around my living room. Finally clean again. No shoes on the floor. No shopping bags piled by the door. No strangers in my space pretending it was theirs. Just me. My tea. And the knowledge that maybe, finally, things were changing. Not perfectly. Not quickly. But honestly, my phone lit up again. A photo this time, Emma and Poppy on the couch in their new apartment. Watching a movie. Kylie in the background. Folding laundry. Emma's caption was simple. "We're trying." I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back, "I see that." And I did. The thing about boundaries is, people assume they're walls. But they're not. They're toll booths. They don't stop traffic. They just ask you to pay before you pass. A week after Kylie moved out, I stood in my kitchen, looking out the window at the quiet street. No new bags on the porch. No car doors slamming in the driveway. Just stillness. I hadn't realized how much noise she brought with her until it was gone. My phone buzzed. It was Kylie. "The girls miss you," she wrote. "Maybe Sunday dinner next week I'll cook. Or try to." I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it. Part of me didn't trust it. But a different part deeper, quieter remembered Poppy's drawing. Emma's messages. The way Kylie looked when she asked why I was still being kind. So I typed back. Sure. But I'm bringing backup. Lasagna. Her reply came fast. Fair enough. I have a lot to make up for. At least she knew. That was the difference. It wasn't about punishing her. It wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my space. My time. My dignity. About showing the girls what healthy looks like. About proving to myself that I didn't need to burn the bridge, I just needed to stop letting people cross it for free. Tessa came by that Sunday with wine and stories and way too many cookies. We sat on my couch. Legs tucked up. Plates in hand. How does it feel, she asked. To have your house back quiet. I said. Almost too quiet. Having second thoughts? No. I meant it. Not even a flicker of doubt. Just adjusting to peace again. My phone buzzed again, this time a photo from Emma. Kylie in the background, unpacking groceries. The girls at the table coloring. Caption progress. I held up the screen for Tessa to see. You know, she said. This could have ended a lot worse. How so? You could have kept enabling her. Let her stay. Let her break you like Mom did. Exactly. I looked out the window again. The sun low on the horizon. I thought about all the pieces of myself I'd given away over the years. Thinking it was love. Thinking love meant yes. Always. Yes. But love without limits isn't love. It's sacrifice. And eventually, it turns into resentment. You know what the hardest part was, I asked. Not the eviction. Not the silence. Not even the confrontation. What then, sleeping through the night? I said. Smiling. Knowing I didn't burn the bridge. I just stopped letting her cross it without paying the toll.